Hello, everybody. Jose Rodriguez back again. You guys have a Pro 100 by any chance? And are you one of those who are refilling or started using OEM and it costs a fortune? And so you decided to use compatible cartridges? You can get those on eBay all over the place. You can get those from AliExpress, Alibaba, and Amazon. But really, is that a good idea? Let me show you the difference between a compatible CLI 41 cartridge and an OEM cartridge. Again, not modified, neither one of them. I'll show you the difference and then I will tell you what could happen. All right, so let's quickly show you what a compatible cartridge looks like, and then one that has been vacuum filled by me is still operating and looking like an OEM cartridge would look. So the only difference I want to show you is this. This is your liquid chamber. So that chamber holds all of the liquid portion of the total volume of ink the cartridge contains. I believe it's something in the neighborhood of 13, 14 ml total. Here's the third party compatible cartridge. Notice that the sponge is a single density. That's not good. That's bad. Notice that the OEM has the dual density sponge. That is good. That controls the flow of ink. Don't ask me to explain the hydraulics. Take my word for it. This is what you want. Okay? This is what you get when you buy compatible. Notice the chamber has been walled off. It contains less ink. So, is that chip going to accurately go empty while the sponge still has ink in it? In other words, this will go empty, of course, as it normally does. There's no prism in here that can possibly declare a low warning. So somehow it just prints until it becomes empty with no low warning. That's dangerous as hell. When the chip goes empty, did the cartridge go empty long before that? Did you begin to see streaks where there was no more ink to deliver of a particular color? That will overheat that channel. Ink acts as a coolant as the droplets are being generated with what? With heat. So ink maintains the proper operating temperature of a particular color channel. If this thing goes empty, but the chip says, I still have a little bit of ink in it, you're printing with air. And you will see the results immediately on your prints, but you're overheating that channel. This does not. If you're using OEM and you're letting your cartridges go empty, the cartridges never really go fully empty. There's always going to be a certain amount of ink left in the sponge at that very point where the chip says I'm empty. When the ink totally leaves this chamber, there's a prism in there that will generate an angle on that beam of light that is constantly shining through it. It will divert that beam and the low warning will be triggered. The printer now knows, because the low warning was triggered, that means this is now empty. It knows how much ink is left here. And it will allow you to continue printing for a bit more, couple more prints, and then it will go empty. But there's still a little bit of ink left, so your channel is never really going to overheat. I cannot guarantee that with these. Okay? Now, another thing. These chips, they might be a different kind of coating than the OEM ones. And besides the dangers of using these, and of course, some of you have actually used them and you have no issues with it. More power to you. I still recommend. It's so easy to modify an OEM cartridge and reset it. You can reset it yourself. It's so easy to do that. Then why would you want to take the chance? And of course, after you modify the cartridge, refilling, because you do it before it reaches low, refilling costs you 70 cents per refill instead of $20 for an OEM one. And I don't know what these are selling for, but I would say $8 each, something like that. I would rather pay 70 cents instead of 8. I'm refilling my OEM cartridge. I'm resetting it to the proper level. Fully reliable. Why would I want to take a chance? If I'm using really good inks, I'm going to get extremely good results. I don't know what the origin of those inks are. Absolutely not. Do they match OEM? Of course not. They do not. Do they produce relatively good results? Yeah, probably. If you're not really super picky, you know what I mean? So here's what can happen, and this will sneak up on you. I had an individual who could not for the life of him figure out what was going on. So the chips themselves in the back, if you were to remove a chip, there is a super tiny little light emitting diode, an LED, and it is red. So there is a way to transmit that red light up this little optical channel on the printhead assembly itself. You will see a steady beam of red light. That means that chip is above low. Okay? It's still maybe halfway or even full. It's going to show you a steady red light. You put the next one, steady red light. The next one, steady red light. Maybe by the time you install the fourth one, all the lights go out. What's going on? So you remove them again. You put the first one. Everything is fine until you get to the fourth one. Well, what do you mean? You don't know what's happening. That fourth chip is bad. And it kills all the other previous three. Okay? So that happens. That can happen. Even with OEM. If you somehow fry that chip during your resetting process, and it can happen, if you don't do it properly, if you're jiggling around that cartridge on this baby right here, this is a red setter resetter. If you are not installing the cartridge into it without jiggling and disrupting the contacts and all of that, while the the resetter is attempting to rewrite the empty code into a full code, you're going to fry that chip. And with Pro 100s, it seems to cause the previous fully working chips to just stop emitting the red light. You get blanks. So it may be you get all 7 loaded and that 8th one is bad and all the previous 7 just blank out. Okay? So be aware that if you are refilling, you say you maybe modified your own or you bought them already pre-modified, and that happens to you, that means that one cartridge you installed, that chip is bad, and all the other 7 or the previous 5, it'll be that 6th one, then the previous 5 will go blank. That chip went bad during your resetting process, or whatever the reason that caused that chip to die. Then when you try to install it, all the previous ones will not shine happily red. Okay? So be aware that you may have to end up replacing your cartridges. And then at the point where they are low, you have to modify them and begin to refill them. Of course, you know me, I always recommend Precision Colors Signature Edition inks for your CLI 42s. They are the best inks available. They outperform the OEM inks as far as color output. They do. Of course, they're not going to outlast OEM inks as far as longevity. That is just, that's just the way it is. No third party ink can claim that. So, but keep in mind that when you begin to deal with refilling, that your resetting process has to be down pat. Because if you damage one chip, that's it. You need to get a new replacement for that cartridge. Okay? I don't think you have to get the previous ones. Say your 8th one goes bad. Yeah, you just replace that one. Just order one of those brand new and install it. Everything will be hunky-dory, as they say. So no worries. All right, so just keep in mind that, again, compatible cartridges, even if they work okay, I just don't trust the chips very much. Yeah. So make sure you understand that the design of the cartridge body itself and the sponges are just subpar, if you ask me. Now, I'll leave you with this one. This one's really hilarious. Some compatibles, they call them compatibles for the Pro 10 family. They're actually using OEM cartridges. What they did was something very sneaky. You see the word Canon right there? They scraped that off. They're giving you the real deal. And so you're able to reset those cartridges as long as they didn't replace the chip with something else. If they did not, you should be able to refill those with them with your own inks. But why bother? Just do your own cartridges. Those don't even require any modification whatsoever. So again, the take home message here is compatibles. Don't deal with them. And let me tell you, the rumor mill says that Canon is at war with companies that produce compatibles, and the possibility of them introducing a firmware update that will negate the recognition of compatible chips, it might be more than a rumor. So be aware of that. Just stick with your OEMs. If you got a Pro 100, Pro 10, you can reset those chips. So there's no issue. Okay, no issue at all. Just stay with them. The other newer printers, they're locked. You cannot reset them at all. So if you got a Pro 10, a Pro 100, treat it nice. Take good care of it. It is one of the best printers that they have ever produced. All right, thank you so much. That'll be it for now. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like as always. Happy printing and happy refilling, everyone. Bye bye.